Let's talk about Ozempic. This is the hot new weight loss drug you're probably hearing about through all the news, maybe from friends, and maybe you're hearing about it because it's starting to invade gym culture in a very systematic way where you can now even get a prescription for Ozempic at your gym and have a workout program that's tailored to go with it. In this episode of the podcast, we're going to talk about what is this new drug and how is it invading the gym culture scene? And finally, what do you need to know so that you can make an informed decision about this? Is it a good idea? Is it a terrible idea? We'll discuss some of the angles on it in this episode of the podcast. Tune in and take notes.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
What is up, guys? I'm Coach G. I'm one of the coaching team here at CrossFit Edwardsville, and I want to talk about Ozempic because I'm hearing this brand name for a semaglutide drug showing up more and more and more in the fitness communities. To some extent in CrossFit, but more in like traditional gym culture where maybe people are a little bit more inclined to the use of drugs for advancing weight loss goals. And as I go into this conversation, I just want to be super clear. I'm not a pharmacist. My brother is. I talk to him about stuff like this, but I'm not a pharmacist. And so it is outside of my scope of practice to tell anybody, take this drug, do not take this drug. That's not what I'm here to do today. What I do want to do, though, is have an open, honest, transparent conversation about what do we know about Ozempic, the brand name for semaglutide, or what don't we know? What are the unknowns? What are the risk factors that are inherent in the use of this drug according to the best available information as of right now? What do we need to know? So I'm going to start by outlining for you guys first, what is the Ozempic drug and why are some people maybe steering toward it for weight loss? So as I mentioned, Ozempic is a brand name for the medication semaglutide, which belongs to a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor agonists. Originally, it was approved by the USDA, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, approved by the FDA for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. And its mechanism of action, it mimics the effects of a glucagon-like peptide, GLP-1. It's a hormone that helps to regulate your blood sugar levels by stimulating insulin release and reducing glucagon secretion, and by slowing down gastric emptying. Now, the punchline to all of this as a collective effect is that it makes you feel fuller for longer when you eat food, which can lead to weight loss as a side effect. This weight loss effect has led to interest in using Ozempic as a treatment for obesity. Now, it's important that we outline the exact mechanism by which Ozempic induces weight loss is maybe not entirely understood, and maybe it's an indirect domino affecting ultimate outcome, but it is believed to involve several factors like the reduced appetite, increased feelings of fullness, possibly changes in metabolism. And this is interesting. In December of 2020, the FDA approved semaglutide as a higher dose version specifically for chronic weight management in adults with obesity or who are overweight with at least one weight-related comorbidity. So people who have this prescribed, they take it via subcutaneous injection once weekly. And so why are we having this conversation? It's because first, this is a very hot topic. It's the new fancy name. And additionally, it's coming for gyms. There's an article in CNN Business that actually, the title is Ozempic is coming for gyms. Here's how they're responding. I'm going to read to you from this CNN Business article briefly. So here's what it says. America's gyms are adjusting their strategies as more of their members take on weight loss drugs. Luxury gyms, such as Lifetime, are acquiring weight loss clinics with doctors who can prescribe GLP-1s, the powerful new class of medications proven to be highly effective at helping people lose weight, while Equinox is designing exercise programs specifically for people who are taking those medications. The industry is undergoing a major shift as baby boomers start to age out of the typical gym-going population, and new medications enable easier weight loss, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, skipping ahead in the article, Ozempic, Wegovy, and other GLP-1 prescription drugs have swept through wealthier demographics of the country. Healthcare providers wrote more than 9 million prescriptions for Wegovy and other injectable drugs used for weight loss during the last 3 months of 2022 alone. JP Morgan researchers estimate that 30 million people may be taking GLP-1 drugs by 2030, or 9% of the population. And this is where we kind of get into side effects as a side note from me. The article continues later on to say, gyms are still about building muscle too. One common side effect for some patients taking these medications is muscle loss. So now gyms are starting to market their brands to existing members who say they're on GLP-1s, hoping they can add memberships as people on these medications seek to keep and build muscle. Again, the article goes on. Now, before we get any further with this, me as a coach, I want to outline that I am not a hater on the idea of weight loss. Clearly, a big part of what we do at CrossFit Edwardsville is helping people to lose weight in a healthy way. And I'm not a hater on finding more convenient ways of getting things done. However, I'm very guarded and cautious when it comes to some hot new drug showing up purporting to help people lose weight, because I think it's very easy for us in our microwave culture to love the idea of an easy solution, a fast, throw it in the microwave, 3 minutes later, you have the dish solution. If it in any way distracts from the core principles that always work and that everybody needs, healthy eating and exercise, there's no way around it, weight loss drug or otherwise. As we go into this, I want to talk about some of the known side effects of this, so you guys can be aware that while there's a lot of things on the surface that sound great about this, you need to be sufficiently warned as well. So let's talk about some of the side effects. Right off the back is what they're calling, informally, they're calling Ozempic face. If you've heard about this as a side effect of GLP-1 drugs, it's a look of a hollowed look to the face, changes in the size of your lips, your cheeks, your skin, wrinkles in the face, sunken eyes, sagging jowls around the jaw and neck. This is the very first one. And that all those things to you probably do not sound good, and they're not. Now, if you lose weight in a more gradual way, you'll have changes in your body. You'll have changes in your face. You will look leaner, but those changes are not going to be negatively tainted by a drawn out look. It's this faster pace of weight loss that can occur with GLP-1 drugs that can make these facial changes more obvious, and which has some people treating the changes with plastic surgery. And there are other side effects that you also need to know about, namely gastrointestinal symptoms, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. According to the medical research from Harvard, these are the most common side effects of GLP-1 drugs. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, all these things sound terrible. And if, by the way, you're hearing this and you're like, that does not sound great to me at all, it gets worse. You can maybe potentially see side effects of pancreatitis, gastroparesis, bowel obstruction, gallstone attacks, bile duct blockage. Things can get pretty serious. And this is true for any drug. See, any drug you take for a purpose like this, there's a definite dark side to it. What comes to mind for me is right now in America, we're very clear that we have a pretty serious opioid crisis. Opioids were at one point considered to be a miracle drug also for treating various conditions. Now, knowing what we know now, we have a much clearer understanding of just how devastating and damaging they can be. And it's all over the news, the effects of opioids and opioid addiction. I want us to all really pump the brakes and think to ourselves, how much do we really know about Ozempic, this brand new hot weight loss drug? And is it worth the risk to try and find a hack or a shortcut, especially when you consider the fact that the average person's diet is not good at all. And so if you take a diet that gives you a full tank of very poor, low quality, highly processed bullshit, pseudo food, and you restrict your appetite, now you're getting a half a tank, or you're eating a lot less of this nonsense pretend food. Now you have a half tank or a third of a tank of this fake food. You're basically becoming malnourished because you didn't have a whole lot of nutrients from healthy foods in the first place. Now you have even less. Maybe you lose weight in the very short term, but also in the short term and the medium term, you feel like hell. And long term, you can't sustain being constantly malnourished. Nobody can. So this is not a long-term solution. I'm not a pharmacist, and I can't tell you, take this drug, don't take this drug, but I can read a list of side effects. I can look at the history of medicine, and I can say there's a lot of evidence that would suggest we need to be very careful before proceeding with this or any other drug. Talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacist about whether Ozempic is part of the solution for you. But anyway, I feel like I need to caution everybody about this because chances are somebody you know, will be taking Ozempic, and you need to be an informed consumer. And hopefully I've brought some of these considerations to light for you. History, if history repeats itself, and it typically does, there is no long-term solution to having a healthy, vibrant, energetic, amazing life, amazing body that does not involve intelligent, healthy eating, as well as exercise, activity, living an active lifestyle. There is no way around these. And if you are going to try and lean on a shortcut, you're going to fail long term. You have to have the whole picture. You have to have the healthy eating, the exercise in place in order to succeed long term, period. That's just the real talk. And hopefully that's not shocking or revelation to anybody, but thank you again for the gift of your time and your attention on this podcast. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If it has, feel free to like, share, subscribe. We look forward to talking to you guys in the next episode of the podcast. But for now, have yourselves a beautiful and blessed day, and we will see you in the next episode of the podcast.